swing, swing, not today, swing, swing. Hi, Mama.
Alright, this is the before of our living room. This is literally our living room. We do so much in this room. I've already taken down a lot of stuff. My husband's taken down all his Lego. The baby is, well, he's awake now, actually, in his swing. Well, technically it was his sister's swing, but yeah. Then we've got this very old, very dated TV unit, which my husband already modified. Okay. No. My husband already modified to be able to fit that TV. And we have a TV downstairs that we want to bring up here. But we need a different means to have the TV. So we're going to be modifying the unit. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time taking stuff down. There is also stipple on our ceiling. I'm not sure yet if I wish to tackle that or not. I have removed the stipple from that part of the ceiling, which you can see, and I've done it for a lot of the house, but this is I think it's a 15-foot by 12-foot room, which is a lot of stipple to remove. We've also got up here, one of my projects will be removing the tape that my husband put up when he was a bachelor. So yeah, it's been here for well over 15 years, and it is going to be a hard thing to remove. And then I will need to repaint because this happened. While I was trying to remove the tape earlier, I figured out how to do it without hurting the paint too much. Unfortunately, my husband has already done so. As you can see, he has removed tape and moved it up. So we have already sections where the tape has peeled the paint off of the wall. So this is going to be a bit of a project. The basic way to get rid of the tape is to use a hairdryer and some Goo Gone. So the hairdryer first, peel the tape off, Goo Gone for the stickies. Now I need an actual ladder because this ceiling is, I think it's 8.5 feet high, and my stepping stool just does not cut it. So yeah. That is the project that we are going to be undertaking in the new year. My husband wants to start now, and I am hesitant because most of this work is going to be on me because my husband is going to be he's been working a lot, so I'm going to have to strip and sand and prime and paint this unit and the walls and everything else, and that is going to be a lot of work. So we'll see how this all goes. Wish me luck. Alright, so as you could see, first we're starting off by my husband removing electronics, because when he wants to work on something, it's the electronics that come first. We did a lot of cleaning with them and taking down all of the books and all of the knickknacks and dusting everything as we took it down and boxed it all and moved it to the basement. It was a lot of work, and I was very thankful for my kids who decided they were going to come and help us out with that. When my husband went and removed the one board there that was holding up that other one, well, you'll see later on he actually is going to be cutting that piece out, but we had some nails and screws that had to come out with the angle grinder because couldn't get them out any other way because they actually were nailed in from underneath. And I put this on like super fast mode. I don't know, I can't remember the amount of times of speed I added on, but a couple of the areas of this video I went like 3,000 times speed. So it's like really, really fast. And I actually went through over 20 hours of footage, and I did not even record everything that we did in here. There's a number of things that I did that I just didn't bother recording any of because it was just getting to be monotonous and just too much time recording. My poor camera dies every half hour. It just shuts off. So We started by shifting the couches and the shelves into the middle of the room, but then I actually decided I was going to tackle that stipple. Oh, here we are removing the tape. This actually took quite a bit of time. The Goo Gone didn't work as well as I was hoping. I used my microfiber cloth with the Goo Gone. I went over it again and again and again, and in the end, the only way that I actually got it completely cleaned off was when I finally went in with a TSP. So I spent an awful lot of time removing this tape, and then I had to use the TSP water to actually clean it off completely before painting. And now my husband is actually taking down that shelf. We used a router, but the router doesn't go all the way through, so then he had to use a jigsaw to get the rest of that piece cut out. Now I'm deciding to take down the stipple. As you can see, what I do first to prevent as much mess is I actually spray the whole thing with water, and I let the water just kind of sit in the stipple for a bit, and then I scrape it off because it's more of a mud then. It doesn't give you nearly as much dust. And I actually did, when I first did it the first time, I did not put a plastic hair thing on, and I had mud in my hair for so many weeks afterwards. It didn't matter. I was washing my hair and it just would not come out. Okay, so I have finished half the room as of Tuesday. I wanted to finish the rest of the room, but I did not get around to it yesterday, so we'll see if I can get around to it today. It already looks so much brighter in there just by having, well, first of all, having the thing off the light, and by having half the room scraped. The light can reflect off. You can see that the light reflects off of the side that has no stipple much more than the side that has stipple. So hopefully this will mean we'll have a brighter room even without adding too much extra lights. And the scraper I'm using is just like a mud scraper. Okay, so I just washed our unit down with TSP. It says 1 parts to 10 parts for cleaning, or 1 parts to 20 parts. No, 1 to 20 for cleaning and 1 to 10 for degreasing. I did like 1 to 15-ish. And this is what the water looks like now. And I just did the unit. Like I didn't, wow, like that is, and then I have to rinse it off yet. So I will probably do video of that part. But yeah, I'm not taking video of every process because everything's just taking too long. I ended up going over everything with regular clear rinsing water twice. The walls, I actually did the whole wall, all the walls in TSP as well. And once the TSP was done, I went over everything with fresh water. And then the water was still so grimy after that I went over everything again with water. And I ended up having to dump out my water. How many times was it? I think it was 4 times per wall. It was ridiculous. I could not believe the amount of grime on those walls. The next step for preparing the wood surface for primer, because the varnish doesn't adhere well, I took my little mouse sander and I sanded everything. I wanted to make sure I roughed up the surface so that the primer would adhere very well to the surface. Primer does not adhere very well to varnish, and I did not want to have gone through all of this just to have it later on start flaking off with the slightest little, nick of something or other, because I have had that happen before too, and it is very frustrating. I was very blessed to have my mom come over and help me out. During some of the time that we worked together, my kids were all actually doing very well. The baby was napping, so we could actually do work at the same time. And then there are times when my mom decided she was going to hold the baby while I went and did some work, or I would go and hold the baby while she did some work. And it was really nice because we were able to tackle so much of the priming, because we had to prime not only the unit, we had to prime all the walls, all the woodwork and the framing, all of the ceiling, everything. It was a lot of primer. And I don't show it here yet because I didn't do it yet, but I had to tape up all along the windows and everything because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to get primer in those areas. But we did a bunch of taping together. We did a whole bunch of priming together. It was so nice to have her come down and help me. My mother-in-law even came down for a little bit to hold the baby while I painted. I did actually decide to tackle those doors, those bifold doors. I love I believe it's called louvre in the door. It looks so pretty, but I did not like the wood. It was rough actually, and to clean it and dust it got to be very frustrating. I usually just used a vacuum cleaner because you couldn't use a cloth. So I tackled this. I had to once again TSP everything and then prime it all and paint it all. And I decided to wait with tackling the door frames until I was tackling these wood doors as well. I love the speed up process. It just looks so cool watching it go on so fast. I wish that the painting only took that long. It'd be so fun to be able to just get the whole room done in 20 minutes like this video. Another thing I actually did with the doors is I used my paintbrush to get into all the little cracks and crevices, and then the parts that you see the most I just took and I used the roller on each and every part so that it was a nice smooth finish. I also right away took care of the baseboards that we purchased. They were already primed, so all I had to do was put the white paint on them, and I find it so much easier if you put the white paint on them before putting them on the walls. It's much easier that way. All I have to do then is cut, put them in place, nail them in, and then I can just do touch-up white paint. I also actually remove the tape while the paint is still wet. I find that if I do not do that, then sometimes it will peel the paint up with it. Some of the paint here was actually quite dry already, so I used a razor blade to go over the edges a little bit just to make sure that I did not rip up any paint along with. Made such a huge difference having the doors white. Just brightened up the room incredibly. And I did not take down the trim around the closet doors. All I did was tape it up and I painted around it because I decided I did not want to have to buy extra trim. And the baseboards were the things that were just, I had to remove the baseboards in order to do the room. So I decided I would just buy the same baseboards that we had in the rest of the house. And the wall color that I bought, I found actually on really cheap. It's the reason why I got this color. It matched with the rest of the house just fine, and I had no idea what I wanted in the room to begin with. I didn't know if I wanted to go for something bright or bold, or if I wanted to go for something just very white. I don't really usually go for white, especially with the brown carpet. I figured I wanted something to soften the color of the carpet at least. I just didn't like all the different shades of brown this room had before. So this is actually a slightly yellow color, which is a bit darker than what was in the room, similar to what was in the room before, but it's a bit darker, and it's a bit lighter than what is in the rest of our house. So I found it interesting that it matched so well. And I got one of those huge 5-gallon buckets for $40. That's cheaper than what we usually pay for a 1-gallon bucket. And I would have needed at least 2 gallons, so I figured I'll buy the big huge bucket, and we have always got painting projects on the farm. This black paint, it was a very strong smelling paint. It takes a long time to dry. The wall paint in between coats, if you waited like an hour or two, you had no problem. You could go ahead and paint. But this black paint, I needed to wait at least 12 hours before I could put on another coat. And I ended up waiting like 24 hours between coats. And with all the interruptions and all the busyness and craziness of mom life and homeschool life and just farm life as well in general, it took me a long time and many interruptions once the kids were up to get especially that second coat done. One of the best parts is removing all the tape and seeing that perfect little finish happening after you get rid of all the tape and all of the plastic. It is just so nice to see that finished result. And then we put up the baseboards. I always like to start with the longest baseboard first, because if you accidentally cut it too short or you cut it wrong, you've got more baseboards to work with. And then the carpet. I actually took my carpet cleaner to it after everything was said and done. I'm like, I'm making sure that there's not going to be any drywall dust or any mud dust anywhere. We are taking this and we are scrubbing the whole thing down. I washed the couches and chairs before we moved them into the room. My husband did all the electrical. We put in completely new switches and outlets, and then he also put up the TV stand. Oh, what do you call that? The wall mount. He made his own bracket out of metal, and we put it the wall mount, stuck all the furniture back into place. And I really wanted to attempt an area rug. I figured if it didn't work in here, it would work in my office, because the same kind of colors that I wanted in here were already in my office too. But I really wanted to try for it because it looked as though it would be really nice to have that completed look with an area rug. Alright, so I figured I'd take a quick video of this room, even though we haven't actually put everything back up in it yet, mostly because I cannot seem to keep this room clean for the life of me, even though I have done nothing in here. Like, I've got nothing on the shelves. Like, dusting is a breeze, but for some reason, I guess it's because we removed the stipple, there's dust still floating around in the air. I don't know how this is, because it's been weeks, but this room right now. I still have some birthday decorations up from before, but we've got, this is all black. It looks really nice. I'm really loving this melamine paint. You can see the grain a little bit. If you look, you can still see the wood grain a little bit in there, which is really neat. I like that. My husband is planning on mounting this underneath here. The TV mount worked very well. Now, if only I could figure out how to make it so that we don't see just umpteen number of cords underneath here. I want to put some doors on, so we need to figure out how we're going to work the hinges. And then where that thing is, which is still here from the birthday party as well, it needs to actually get moved back down. I want to put drawers in that section, and I haven't done that yet, and I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. It might never happen, who knows. Because we are already living in this room, and then I get complacent and I just kind of go, okay, good enough, I'm done for now. But I want to put my big tree back up. I want to put books and stuff back up in the bookcases. I am frustrated with the area rug. I've heard lots of people say, yeah, you can do area rugs on or on carpets, and I'm like, this is just... I bought this from IKEA. It is really pretty. Like, I love the lines, the stripes. I love that so much, but it is just not sitting right. I don't know how to fix it. But it looks much nicer having that there than it does without. So I don't know what to do at this point. I've taken it out and I put it back in, and it just, I'm constantly trying to get it to straighten and flatten, and it's just not working out. We got these curtains from IKEA. I am very, very happy with my gray instead of red curtain. My other curtain I had was from Jisk, so... And we need to replace electricity yet. So yeah, this room is not done, but the worst of it is done, and I have to say that the new color on the doors and the new baseboards and just the wall, the ceiling being finished, and this thing being painted, and I did not paint this side yet. So another reason why I've been keeping this thing here, because this side is still like that, and I like the black very, very much. So that is it for me and my little baby boy. Yeah, look at you, happy boy. Yeah, we actually bought this from IKEA as well, and it's okay. The problem is with the remotes that we have in here, it keeps falling down. Hi, baby. Hi. Aren't you cute? Yeah. Anyways, that's all for me for now. I am all over the place. I digress a lot, and I'm apologizing, and I don't know who I'm even talking to right now, but